With me now to discuss is Bob Bianchi, host of Law and Crime Network and former head New Jersey County Prosecutor. Bob, thanks so much for being back with us. Great to have you.
Great to be back.
So, Bob, break this down for us. Can the city of Seattle actually be held liable for the property damage that occurred during the CHOP zone's existence?
No, Allison, this really gets to me. 30 years of a career, and just so your audience understands, I don't come from just one side or the other. I started as an assistant prosecutor, a criminal defense lawyer, a civil rights litigator who sued cities for police misconduct, and then appointed by the governor to the head county prosecutor's job where I ran law enforcement and police agencies for close to 6 years. It frustrates me that we continue to have this conversation. To answer your question very directly, it is a great suit against the city of Seattle. There is nothing more that a city has as its primary responsibility and its police agencies other than protection of the community. Now, this isn't just about making sure that people aren't victims of crime. It's in a flourishing community, especially in those communities that are disadvantaged, that they need the safety and protection of the city so that their businesses can flourish, so that their housing market goes up, so that their educational institutions, that kids who are walking to school don't have to worry about drug dealers being robbed or being subjected to potentially joining a gang. Now, look, on the other hand of that, I understand there needs to be police reform. No one who's done this for as long as I have, and especially as a person who ran 34 police agencies for a significant period of time, that you can make reform. But the problem is the politicians throw the baby out with the bathwater. And it's either on one side of the pendulum or the other. And a lot of times that's because of political pandering on both sides. And a lot of times it's because the people that we entrust to run our police departments and run our cities do not have the eclectic experience to know how to balance aggressive, fair, and effective law enforcement for the protection of the very people in the disadvantaged communities and in other communities with appropriate and proper police practices that hold police officers accountable when the small fraction of them do something wrong. So it's really frustrating for me. When I saw this going on in Seattle, I was in complete disbelief. And I am not a person who is a screaming conservative or a screaming liberal for that matter. You cannot set a tone in your community where you allow, of all things, not only the streets of the tax-paying citizens to be taken over, but allow lawlessness to occur where they actually, it's not just that they did it, it's a symbol, took over and abandoned the police department, literally without any interference whatsoever. Look, I get that while something's erupting, if you can keep people peaceful for a period of time, then you may make that decision, but you cannot allow that to continue. You send a message of lawlessness. And what do we have? We have businesses destroyed. We have people, even those who are protesting. I agree with the company. You can support Black Lives Matter if you want to in concept. You can support whatever you want to as an American. But that does not mean that you can then involve yourself in lawlessness, destruction of property. The very people protesting who themselves are injured, we have a duty to protect the protesters as well. And the city completely abdicated its responsibility to the protesters, to the community, and symbolically has created a scenario where, guess what? And last point, Allison, I'm sorry to go on a rant. I have been doing this for too long to listen. And as the guy who called the shots for a significant period of time, the complaints coming in that the police are over-officious, and sometimes that's true, that the police are arresting for quality of life crimes where they wouldn't do it in other places, and sometimes that's true. And yet they want us to back off. Law enforcement backs off. That's what the community wants. Then crime comes in, and the businesses are leaving, and the residents are leaving. And then they come to you and they say, why won't you enforce the laws in this community? We need the protection of the police. I feel, at least in my experience, that it was always between a rock and a hard place. We have to be better.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.